Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels. Hope you all survived the 4th of July. We did it pretty well ourselves. Not too many booms going off in the middle of the night, except I think it was the night before the 4th of July. We were getting bombarded up the hill, but lots of fun anyways. Well, the weather has been holding pretty much for the holiday weekend. Unfortunately, I think we're supposed to be getting some rain later on today. It's already like 70-some degrees, and we've got summer. It's full blown. Well, I hope you're having a great weekend, and I want to say good morning to all my viewers on Access Chautauqua 1301, and also I want to say good afternoon to all of our listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for joining us. All right, well, we've got an interesting show in store for you. I have a special guest coming in. We're going to be talking about the studio here today and how people put together the shows, and maybe this could be of interest to you someday. All right, well, I saw us on the Facebook, and of course it's been in the newspaper and so forth. Just do a shout out to my friends at 10,000 Maniacs. You know, they had a break-in and had some things stolen, and guitars can always be replaced, but when it's your intellectual property, your music, your words, your emotions that go into your work, and to have that taken like that, and probably for a few bucks, I don't know who the individual is, but that's really shameful. And being a fellow musician, you know, and many other musicians across the country, we all chimed in. That was, you know, that really stinks when somebody does that. And so I'm glad they were able to recover their music and their instruments and so forth. So good on you guys. Keep on rolling. I guess you're in your 38th year, and we wish you many more years of good music and touring and many more new songs. Okay. Just a few things I want to share with you. I don't know about your gardens, but my blueberries are finally coming on. I've been waiting for them for the last couple of weeks, and now that it's finally drying out and the weather's warming up, berries and cherries. It's a great season here in Chautauqua County, so get out there and support all the local farmers. Speaking of farmers, there's lots of farmers and artisans markets going on right now. You go to Westfield, for instance, there's a great farmers market, artisans market there. We played there last week, and I think they're up to 40 different vendors and growing. I mean, gosh, that's almost like a festival. And then, of course, Jamestown has its own farmers market on Saturday mornings, and Will and I will be there next Saturday from 12 to 2 playing. But music, good food, crops from the ground, locally grown to your table. What could be better? So please get out there and support the local markets and the local farmers, because they're putting food on our table. For those of you that may have joined us during the 4th of July parade, we were on the streets of Mayville, and the crew was all there. And I just want to point out to you that the video of the parade, if you weren't able to see it live, it'll be posted on our schedule for the week, and also it'll be on YouTube anytime now. So keep your eyes open for that and look for the schedule. Anytime you want to know what's going on, just go to our website, Access Chautauqua, and they'll have the schedule there for you. It's real easy to find. All right, let's see what else I got here. I guess that's all I have as far as local stuff here for myself. So let's get into some of the announcements that have been sent in. And as always, please remember, if you have activity, a function, a fundraiser, just let us know. We're happy to announce it for you. And of course, today, live, 753-5225. Don't hesitate to give us a holler and tell us about what's going on in your neck of the woods, as they say on TV, in your part of Chautauqua County, because there's so much going on. And what I share with you is just a small part of it. So thanks for those that do send it in, because we like to share it. All right. Once again, we're just going to give you mark your calendar, because this is a big fundraiser in the Jamestown area. My very, very good friends at Infinity Performing Arts, they have their local music showcase that's going to be held on September 7th from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I just tell you to mark your calendar, because it's a great, great event. Lots of money is raised, and all my good friends and local musicians come out and they donate their time at about 12 different venues, and you can have a great night of music for like $10. You get a wristband, and you're supporting young folks getting into the business and in the arts, dance, theater, photography, graphics, whatever. Just all kinds of fine arts that are being developed here in Chautauqua County, and we're seeing lots of the fruits of people's labor over the years when you go out and you see lots of the musicians. They were through the Infinity program. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. I want to make sure I got this right here. Okay, this is the Chautauqua Chamber of Commerce Annual Golf Tournament. It'll be held Thursday, August 22nd at Peak and Peak and Clymer, with the shotgun start at 11 a.m. You can play where the pros play. The beautiful upper course at Peak and Peak is home to the LECOM Health Challenge, and that's coming up on July 1st through the 7th, and you can join fellow chamber members to enjoy this beautiful and challenging course during the chamber tournament. So the 2019 Chamber Golf Tournament is sponsored by Allied Alarm Services, Bush Industries, Community Bank, DFT Services, just a whole crew of other folks we'll mention later on another time. A portion of the proceeds will benefit the Tom Barisi Scholarship Fund through the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation. Sign up by July 12th, soon this week, to take advantage of the early bird registration price. You save $20 per person. And for more information, give them a call at 366-6200 or 484-1101. Sounds like a great time. It's a beautiful golf course at Peak and Peak. And if the pros are playing there, why don't you? Okay, let's see, Chautauqua Area Habitat for Humanity. Okay, I got an email from them, and I just decided to make note of this. Is we got some very fine volunteers here in Chautauqua County, and they do this every year. Mike Ricketts is the contact person. But if you are interested in helping someone rehab a house for a young couple, young family, this is something that you might want to look into. And the house that they're working on right now is at 127 Union Street in Westfield. And they're going to be working on this just about every single Saturday. So if you're interested, contact them at the Chautauqua Area Habitat for Humanity. You can go online and find them. Easy peasy. All right, happening tomorrow. Okay, the 55th annual Fly-In Breakfast. Okay, my very good friends and fellow Rotarians in Dunkirk, Fredonia, they're holding this. And it's going to start at 8 a.m. till noon at the Chautauqua County Dunkirk Airport. This is Mill Road in Dunkirk, and if you're a pilot, you eat free. Now, one thing I want to mention is I was talking about this with some other Rotarians, and they went one year, and you can take airplane rides in like various types of airplanes, and they have some World War II airplanes there, and for a pretty good price, you can get up there in the air and feel what it's like to be a pilot and have that air rushing through your hair, and I don't know what else. But it's pretty exciting. So again, tomorrow, the 55th annual fly-in breakfast. Gosh, 55 years. Okay, folks at the Ripley Library have a big fundraiser coming up, and they're doing the play The Curse of the Comet. And our very own Emerald Weish, our tech lady on camera, was going to be some flirtatious scientist. And this is going to be held July 11th from 6 p.m. at the Pine Junction Restaurant in Sherman, New York. Tickets are only $40, reservations only. So you got to give them a call at 736-3913, 736-3913. Now, $40 gets you the play, and it gets you either a complete meal of chicken, fish, or steak. Of course, and if there's anything you desire from the bar, that's on you, so it's cash bar. So again, 736-3913, and the proceeds, of course, go to the renovations that's going on at the library. And I'll tell you, I've seen the drawings, and the whole place is going to be spectacular when it's done. It's going to be a really, really nice place for the community. All right, moving along. Experience Chautauqua business after hours at the fairgrounds, July 11th. The Dunkirk community in Chautauqua County Chambers of Commerce proudly hosts this popular annual event, Experience Chautauqua business after hours, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, July 11th. Come and learn what's new at the Chautauqua County Fair, enjoying wine slushies, beer, and fair food from the Midway vendors. There will be entertainment and door prizes too. This event is sponsored by DFT Communications, KeyBank, Lally Insurance, Nestle, Purina Pet Care, Northwest Arena, Observer, Newspaper, Putnam Record Insurance Agency, Media One Radio Group, and the Post Journal. Price is only $16 per chamber member, and if you're not, and you're thinking about joining the chamber, it's $19 for non-members. Contact information there is 366-6200 or 484-1101. Okay, another golf tournament coming up, and that will be this coming week, and I'll be there selling raffle tickets. The Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation will host its 27th annual golf tournament, with the Westfield Memorial Hospital medical staff proudly serving as its major sponsor. The tournament will be held this coming Friday, July 12th, at the Chautauqua Golf Club, located in Chautauqua, New York, just down the road from where we are. Consider joining the fun as the foundation celebrates its 41st anniversary in July. All right, participants, this is a fully packed day, I'll tell you. Participants will enjoy golf on the beautiful lake course, along with breakfast, lunch, a steamed and raw clam tent, a cocktail reception, and a prime rib dinner. I would go there just for the prime rib. An array of prize opportunities will be available for a variety of contests. The Schultz Auto Group is providing a variety of prizes for a golfer lucky enough to score a hole-in-one. Registration begins at 10 a.m. You'll find me at the table selling you raffle tickets with a bunch of my other friends. Shotgun starts at noon. Many sponsorship opportunities are still available for those wishing to show their support. As in the past, the Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation is holding a raffle in conjunction with the golf tournament, and that's what I usually sell. This year's prizes include an electric bicycle, LG 55-inch HD Smart TV, a Yeti cooler with accessories, a 3-piece wrought iron patio set, and a stand-up paddle board. Oh, and also a cast stone fire pit. Tickets are sold at the hospital's front desk right now, the Westfield Farmers Market right now, and of course, show up at the tournament. We'll sell you one there too. The funds raised from this year's tournament will benefit the Westfield Memorial Hospital. For more information, give Patty DePalma a call at 793-2338. Again, 793-2338, or you can contact her at patricia.depalma@ahn.org. I'll tell you, without Foundation supporting a lot of our local programs, we would be in big trouble. This particular foundation raises thousands of dollars to provide lots of equipment for the hospital and makes it a better place for you and me. Okay, let's go to something new. Slide 18, Traveling Erie Zoo Outreach Program to visit the Grape Discovery Center, July 12th. So after you're done golfing, you can go visit this, I guess. So this is brand new. I'm going to have to read this. The Erie Zoo, located in Erie, Pennsylvania, will bring its traveling zoo outreach program to the Grape Discovery Center in Westfield on Friday, July 12th. A Children's Learning Day at the center. The program will be free and open to the public. Andy Dufresne, board member, as you can see right there, of the Concord Grape Belt Heritage Association, which operates the center, noted, and these are his words, he says, "We are very pleased to sponsor the Erie Zoo Outreach Program. It should be a fun learning experience for kids. We expect them to bring several small animals and show and tell their stories. The formal 45-minute program presentation will be at 10:30 a.m. inside the center, rain or shine." We've had to say that a lot this year, haven't we? Rain or shine. The animals will be on display for another hour following the presentation, with a zoo staff member answering questions. Following the zoo program will be a Kids Learn About Grape Growing program on the patio right next to the grape vineyard. Okay, so there's a lot going on here at the Grape Discovery Center. It's just down the road on Route 20 in Westfield. And if you haven't been there, this is a great opportunity for a field trip, a day trip with your children, or if you just want to go over yourself and check it out. They've got all kinds of things for sale. You can get a grape slushie. They have wine slushies. They've got local wines for sale and so forth. Of course, all the proceeds go to maintain the Grape Discovery Center, which is really an educational gem here in Chautauqua County. And if you have any questions, give the manager, Christina McCain, a call at 326-2003. All right. And remember, they also have facilities for rent that you can have a party or a meeting there, and they're happy to help you out. Okay, coming up, this is kind of interesting. This is enjoy a special First Friday on the second Friday in Westfield. So they always have their First Friday program, but it's always on the first Friday, except for the one in July. And this is every year because the 4th of July usually gets in the way. But the second Friday is Alumni Weekend, Ox Roast. So listen to what we got here. The Westfield Barcelona Community Chamber of Commerce presents First Friday each month during the summer. But this month it's happening on the second Friday of the month, July 2nd, in order to help kick off the Alumni Weekend in Westfield. First Friday will include live music, games, vendors, and a street fair along Main Street and in Moore Park. The Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, my club, will be selling snow cones and talking to you about Rotary that day as well. The first Friday will open the Alumni Weekend events, which includes an alumni dance at Easton Hall on Saturday and the Spirit Bell Toll at the Pier and Ox Roast Sunday at Ottaway Park. Let's see, be sure to visit all the special wine bottles decorated this year. 100 decorated wine bottle cutouts are scattered throughout the Westfield, Barcelona, Ripley region, all celebrating the area's wine and grape heritage and denoting the businesses and organizations that make the region special. All right, so the complete wine bottle map, if you're interested, is at a website called westfieldbarcelonacommunitychamber.org. westfieldbarcelonacommunitychamber.org, and they are everywhere. Okay, the floating stage is back at Chautauqua Lake. All right, and it's greeted by a huge turnout this year to its first concerts of the season. After a long year of hiatus from the Bemis Point Pops, it's wrapped up its lengthy run from Bemis, and now it's going to be right down the road near the railroad depot in Mayville. The floating stage is back with a full lineup of exciting programming for the summer season. Chautauqua Pops, let's see, hang on a second. By the Shore will feature everything from movie nights to live tribute bands to an orchestra. The tribute band series will run Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays through the end of August. A series of movie screenings will be held Tuesday evenings at dusk. For information on tickets, visit chautauqualakepops.com. In addition, the floating stage will also be home this year to the free Mayville Chautauqua Community Chamber of Commerce Summer Entertainment in the Park Series on Thursday nights. This series is sponsored annually by the Village of Mayville and Town of Chautauqua, and these live performances are free of charge, featuring a lineup that offers a wide variety of music, including big band, blues, contemporary country, and a whole lot more. In case of rain, free concerts then will be held at the Carlson Community Center at Lakeside Park. I'm telling you, Chautauqua County is alive, and there's all kinds of great stuff going on. All right, if you never visited a show at the floating stage, it's really cool. I had the opportunity to do a fundraiser years ago on the floating stage, and it does move a bit. I turned around, I was playing, I turned around, there was a couple Amish fishermen sitting in their boat watching us from behind. So it's just a crazy venue, and I'm glad that they've got that going again, because it's just a great venue. Okay, a few more things, and then we're gonna cut things off to get to my guest today. All right, smoke alarm installation program. The Children's Safety Education Village is now participating in a free smoke alarm installation program. The program is part of an effort to reach out to local residents who are in need of a smoke alarm. The installation of smoke alarms in the homes of residents who do not have them increases their odds of surviving a home fire. If you're interested in part of this program, give them a call at 338-0170. Again, 338-0170. Also, they have, excuse me, a CPR AED first aid classes, and this is going to be held coming up on Monday, July 15th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., and that's at the Safety Education Village. And hang on a second, you get your American Heart Association CPR certificate. It's good for 2 years. And again, if you're interested, this is for those youth from 12 to 18, and give them a call, 338-0170. Okay, my good buddy Steve Waterman sent this over, Watterson, excuse me. Area residents are invited to join the hundreds of people who will come together to celebrate with people with disabilities at the 23rd annual Laurel Memorial Run and Walk. 23 years, wow. The event was created by Wayne and Elaine Hoteling of Silver Creek in honor of their oldest daughter, Laurel, who had special needs. Though she faced many challenges, Laurel lived in a full and productive life, thanks to the support that she received from her family, her community, and of course, the Resource Center. The Laurel Memorial Run and Walk is a 2-day celebration of the potential that exists with folks with disabilities. The event seeks to raise public awareness about people with disabilities while providing an opportunity for people with disabling conditions and those without to come together at a fun, family-friendly event. The action begins on Friday, July 19th with a traditional flag relay. A kickoff ceremony will be held at 8 a.m. at the Resource Center facility at 75 Jones and Gifford in Jamestown. Then teams of volunteer runners will take turns transporting Laurel Run flags to Dunkirk. Whoa! Representatives from a number of area schools, as well as the Lakeview Shock Incarceration Correctional Facility in Brockton, will run the various legs of the relay. The relay concludes at Washington Park, where the city of Dunkirk will host a celebration from noon to 2. The community is invited to come out and cheer on the last relay runners as they make their way along Central Avenue. If you're interested, give them a call to learn more about the Laurel-thon at 661-4735. 661-4735. So lots of things going on, and I think we'll have a chance to read more about this next week as well. And I think that's it for right now. I'm going to take a breather, and we're going to be right back to join my guests. So stay tuned.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
And that's the truth. And getting outdoors this time of year is a great time of year. Okay, well, as I was planning my schedule, I had a thought that I wanted to bring on one of the persons that works here all the time, that you only see his name in the credits, and that you see him if you happen to catch the show at the end of the year. We always have our last show of the year with the crew here, and we talk about predictions and so forth. But I realized that we really have never done a show just about how you make a show, the studio, and so forth. So I want to welcome Chris Burt, who is the director of my show and helps me produce it. So Chris Burt, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Chris, were you born in the studio? I mean, you've been here like forever.
No, I was born in DeWitt. Well, I was born in Jamestown and I lived in DeWittville.
But how did you get involved with the studio? I mean, the studio's been around since the early or mid-90s, right?
Right, it was started in 1995, so I was 4 years old at the time.
Okay, so it was close. You were born here.
Yeah, close. No, I started when I was a freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking a TV production class, and my dad was working with the Sea Lion at the time with the restoration. He went up to see, Reed Powers went up to see him about using pictures on his show regarding the Sea Lion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then he invited us over, and we really never left.
It's kind of catchy. Once you get part of the TV family here, you really you get sucked into it in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
So so as a freshman, what were you doing at that point at the show? Just hanging out, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I mean, we started obviously trying. Usually when you start, you got to start small. So they give you a camera that doesn't move.
Like Emerald.
They give you a camera that doesn't move. And then the next step is you get a camera that does move every now and then.
Oh, hers moves now and then. I guess. Does your move? Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But,
and then from there, based on your interest, you can move up and do different things. I'm obviously from a generation that uses technology a lot.
I'm from a generation that uses technology, sort of.
And there's obviously quite a bit of technology that's involved in this, so I became more interested in the production aspect and how everything's hooked up and the computers and
we're gonna get to that in a minute.
All of that technology that's here.
People that are watching right now or listening, they see this kind of like a box called your TV screen, and they don't. Unless you've been to a studio, I mean, it was an eye-opener for me the first time I was on TV to realize all the stuff that's on the other side of the screen that goes on in just the building and so forth. So kind of let's go through the history a little bit, because I don't think I'll ever get Chuck Kelsey on the show. He's so shy. So to the best of your knowledge, how did this all start, this station? And at that time it was called Access 5, right?
Right. It started on Channel 5. Mm-hmm. And we were there until very recently on Channel 5 the entire time. Mm-hmm. It started in the train station down by the lake.
Believe it or not, I did shows down there with Reed.
That I never did see that studio, but I did. Then after they opened the new Chautauqua Lake School, they moved up there.
I did shows there too.
And that was a rather small space, but we had quite a bit. We were able to do stuff with the school, the students, basketball games, stuff in the auditorium. They put in, when they built the school, they put in cords for us so that we could do stuff from those different locations without necessarily having to move a ton of equipment and run tons of cords.
So Access 5 was housed at Chautauqua Lake Central for a while.
Right. We were there from, I think it was around 2001 to 2010.
Okay.
July 2010, we moved up to our current studio where we are now.
And this is the former Mayville School.
Right.
And this room that we're in used to be what?
This was the industrial arts room. This is our shop class.
Okay.
So this space and the space over in the other section was the former shop class here.
Now the flooring in the engineering room, is that the original shop floor, or
that's my understanding. We ended up refinishing that floor once they got all of the shop.
I got it from a reliable source in my ear. He used to go to classes here. What do you call that part? It's not parquet, but it's little strips. What do you call that, Jeff? If anybody's ever been in a shop class in the old days, it's the little strips of wood, and it's all wood, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and then in here, obviously, it's a poured concrete floor.
Right. That
we also refinished once we came in here.
Right, it's beautiful, and it almost has like a stone finish on it. It looks like stone with that kind of black.
Yeah, when they were putting down the adhesive, it was my understanding they had like 5 minutes to put down the sparkly stuff over top of it before it hardened. So,
right.
They were obviously under the gun trying to get it all done.
So where did the whole concept of Access 5 come from?
Well, there's different stations. I mean, back in the day, there used to be a bunch of different smaller, there was Adelphia, even before that, there was other ones. Obviously, I didn't know, but
That's okay. Fake it. I do.
but there was a bunch of small cable providers within the county,
Right.
and there's actually federal laws, and the FCC has guidelines for what is called PEG stations, public educational governmental access stations.
We're a PEG? I never knew that. Did you know that? A PEG, a public education what?
Public education and governmental access.
Oh, I didn't know.
So technically you could have up to 3 channels in any area, one for public, one for educational, one for governmental, or you can merge them in any way.
Okay.
And that's laid out by the FCC.
And this is law.
And this is law.
Is this still law?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
I bet you 99% of the people listening right now don't know this.
Yeah. And there's a lot of laws in there that explain how we are supposed to operate. For example, we're first come, first serve. So as long as you have a program that meets the technical specifications and you don't have anything that's in there that's copyrighted, we have to air it.
Okay. Well, let's take a little time on that. So, for instance, Reed Powers, who was, we'll call him the pioneer here, he was one of the first shows, but there was other shows, right? There was a cooking show, I think.
They've done cooking shows. They've done stuff from the school. I mean, they used to film, when we were up there, we would film their spring concerts, their winter concerts, basketball games, football games, baseball games. You name it, we did lots of sports for the school. I mean, they've done all sorts of stuff. And the first program they actually ever did was the 4th of July parade in 1995.
Really?
So they've been doing the parade. We've been doing the parade on and off. I mean, they did it, obviously. They were down at the train depot, so they could just roll the cameras outside and film the
Put it
parade.
right out the window.
And then, then once they moved up to the school, it became a little bit more difficult because then you got to move everything to wherever you're going to film it. And we ended up doing that. And then now we are able, with the magic of the internet, to do it live over the internet back here to the studio and then rebroadcast that.
Okay, we'll come back to that on location stuff in a minute. So back in '95, whose idea was the station? I mean, I know it's not. You told me it's by law. So who jumped on this?
It's my understanding that Chuck Kelsey and Devin Taylor and some of them got together to get this essentially moving with the support from the town of Chautauqua, the village of Mayville. And that's my understanding.
You know, the first thing people ask me, because they're always curious about the TV and Chautauqua Sunrise and what I do here, is they'll say, who pays for all that? So who does pay for all this?
So you maybe never notice it, but when you pay your cable bill, there's a fee on there called a franchise fee. It's one of the many, many fees that are listed on there. They itemize them. You know, you get 12 pages of a bill or whatever. It's in there somewhere.
Buried in there.
That money, which is part of the FCC and the whole setting up public access stations, is sent back to your local municipality, whether it be the town, the village, whatever. That money is sent back to them, and then they have the opportunity to distribute that back to or for running stations, essentially.
Okay. So that's what's basically supports the studio.
Right. We're entirely supported by the franchise fee that you pay on your cable bill.
So as far as the support of this studio, is this a 501c3 or what is this, the corporation of it?
When they were first started, they were started under the Village of Mayville government.
Okay.
When we moved up into this new studio here, we incorporate under a 501c3 organization.
Okay. And so therefore, it's possible if somebody wanted to donate, they could donate to it.
Most definitely. They'd be able to donate and be tax deductible.
Okay. So folks that are listening right now, they're not appreciating the video aspects of what we're doing, but they're listening to the audio. And either one is important to a TV show. And so that's why I for those that are listening right now, there's so much that goes on. So Chris, you know, technology is constantly changing. You and I have talked about, you know, should we have this kind of this or that or whatever over the years. And for people to appreciate things, what are the costs of some of these pieces of equipment that we've been getting here?
Well, if you were to go out and buy a brand new studio camera, studio camera.
One that are on right now?
Right, and we have 3 here.
Right.
If you were to go out and buy a brand new one of those, you're looking probably around $18,000.
Be gentler with that over there.
And that's probably
$18,000.
right.
Wow.
And that's probably about what these were purchased for back at the time. I mean,
okay, so those are simply the cameras that are focused on me and you right now.
correct.
Now, folks, you can't see the cameras, but these cameras, they're pretty big. I mean, these are the ones that you see these guys lugging around on their shoulders, and you see in on TV when they're doing the weather or whatever.
And obviously, the money is one of the reasons why we're still using standard definition video here instead of high definition. The other thing is we don't have a channel that's high definition capable.
Okay.
We have a server that is, but
So we're still in that round.
yeah, we're getting there.
All right, so $18,000 for the cameras. Okay, so that's just times 3. Thank you. So and that's in this room. So now we got these lights and things like that. I mean, people don't even realize there's special lighting in here.
Yeah, we have LED lights that we put up when we came in here. Before we were using halogen lights, which they get very, very hot. They're huge. I mean, they were this big.
And they're kind of yellow color, right?
Right. They give off a yellow tinge. These are more of daylight color.
These are very bright lights.
Yeah, don't ever look directly into the lights. But these are daylight
Don't
LED.
look into the light.
These are daylight LED lights.
Right.
So they don't generate nearly as much heat.
It's very cool in this studio
Right.
too.
And we did put in an AC system when we moved in here, heating cooling system, because it obviously wasn't in here when we moved in. I don't know what they did during shop class. They must have
Who knows?
lit some of their extra wood on fire. I don't know.
So these lights, are they expensive?
I want to say they were around $500 a piece.
What? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah,
10, 11,
we've
12.
got around-
There's like all 15 of them up there.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's 4 rows of 4. So you're looking at 16 lights up there.
All right, and these have. Thank you. We all agree on now 16, and these have little side things on them.
Right, they're called barn doors. They
Oh,
allow you
I
to-
can't look at you right now. I'm seeing dots. Oh, I should have done that.
that is the problem with the LED lights.
Oh boy.
But yeah, they have barn doors on there, which allow us to, so that we're not sending light up to the ceiling where we don't need it. We'll
Right.
direct it down here, where that way we can see each other better.
All right. So far we talked a little bit about the cameras and the lights. Is this typical equipment that you would find in like NBC or CBS or any other studio? Basically the same thing.
For the most part, I mean, a lot of what they're doing nowadays are remote-controlled cameras, remote-controlled pedestals, which are what they have instead of the tripods that we have.
Right.
So a lot more of it nowadays is to thin out the amount of people they need.
We're pretty thin.
Right, but so they
Yeah.
take and put all the cameras being
Just-
operated
so
by a
it's
single person,
little,
or
like a little
little joystick.
Joystick. Yeah, there we go.
or they're based on algorithms to determine what's going on.
Okay, and so we have 3 cameras here, and so right now in this room, there's me, my guest, and we have Emerald on camera. I don't know where Justin went, but usually we have 2 camera people here, and that's it. That's in the room right now. But on the other side of the wall is more equipment, right?
Oh yes, there's a ton more equipment on the other side of the wall. So
And that's our engineer Jeff. He's
Right.
running that right now. So what kind of things are there, and what do they cost?
well, and I'm going to say in a normal studio, all the different pieces of equipment there be run by someone completely different.
Oh, so like
Jeff runs everything here because obviously we don't have enough people to do that. But in a studio,
Jeff, you're not getting a raise. Go ahead.
so we have an audio board which obviously controls the sound levels,
Right.
and that would normally be run by a whole separate person. We have a video switcher, which is essentially what's determining which camera, which input's being shown to everybody.
So Jeff, do a demonstration right now. There, all right. For those of you who are watching, he's jumping to different cameras. The one that's on me, one that's on Chris, and then one that's a wide angle. So okay. So as we're talking, he's listening to us.
Right.
And but that's a separate gizmo in there, a board that does
Yep.
just that. So what does that cost off the top of your head? Do you know?
It's around $10,000 piece.
$10,000 to switch switch cameras. But when you think about it, that's got to be some pretty interesting technology to do that. And
Yeah.
then the soundboard. What else?
The soundboard, you're looking probably around $400. So they're a bit cheaper, but they're still as important. Like you said, audio. video is nothing without audio, and audio is nothing without
Right.
video in this. I mean, obviously you can have radio, which is different, but
Right.
it's very different.
Right.
But then next to that video switcher, we have a computer, which puts up all the lower thirds like you see right there.
Okay, that's called a lower third.
Right, they call it
Okay.
a lower third because it usually goes in the bottom half of the screen.
Okay, now how does that work? I mean, people are saying, well, right now I can see your name and it says you're a volunteer and all that sort of thing. So how does Jeff make that happen?
Well, it's very similar. He always calls it similar to a PowerPoint program.
Okay.
We have different slides that are in there that have the different pictures, lower thirds setup, credits, all of that are capable of being shown.
And these are preloaded, right?
Right, and it can only show one at a time. So either it shows your lower third, my lower third, or the ending credits,
Okay.
which usually shows the ending credits at the beginning of the show.
Sometimes.
So essentially what happens is the video that comes out of that video switcher is ran through that computer. That computer has special hardware in there that will overlay those graphics on top of the video, and then that video gets sent out to the next piece of unit.
Okay, so folks that are listening and watching right now, this is all done by volunteers, right?
Everything is volunteer here.
So how did our volunteers learn to do all these things?
A lot of it I learned from trial and error.
Okay.
That's the simplest way to learn anything. Chuck obviously has a background in ham radio and a lot of the electronics, so he knows more of the hardware level than I know more of the next level up.
Okay. So you build on what you know. And
Right. And, you know, obviously coming in here as a freshman in high school, I knew nothing. But through trial and error, I was able to build up my knowledge on how all of this works. But you have different levels that are required because if you have to fix an issue with something that is fundamentally wrong with, say, a frequency, that's different than trying to plug in a different chord.
So it gets pretty technical at some
Yeah, you can
some
become
point.
very technical on some of these issues that are generated because, of course, the other problem with lots of issues is they're hard to nail down. Half of the job is nailing down a problem when it comes up.
So you do a lot of troubleshooting and
Exactly.
logic. How does it all work together? All right. So when now Justin's back on camera and Emerald's on camera right now. So when they're done, so then the image of us goes through their camera, goes through these cables, goes into the engineering room on the other side, goes through those boards and into the computer. How does that get on their TV screen? Or well, we know how it gets on the radio, but how does it go onto the TV screen from there?
So the video and the audio are done separately. The audio board sends out its audio to a piece of equipment. The video board sends out it to a computer, which is sent to another piece of equipment. The two pieces of equipment that they go into, there's a video distribution amp and an audio distribution amp. Essentially, it takes one input and it turns it into multiple inputs of the same thing.
Okay.
So that's how we send one feed out here to your monitor, another one to the server, another one to our DVD recorder. It takes that one input and turns it into essentially a bunch of multiple inputs.
And one of those inputs would be directly out to the cable company, right?
Well, it's not necessarily that simple.
Well, we don't have to get too complicated here.
Essentially, what happens after that is we also have a playback server. That's what determines what's actually on air, whether it's a live input, your show being replayed, or a different show being played. So once it comes out of the distribution amp for the audio and video, it's then merged together and sent into that video server, which it determines if it's going to show it or not, and then that comes out and goes into the cable system.
Okay, now I want to go 30,000 feet up, and I want to look down on Chautauqua County. Now this is kind of an interesting perspective for us, because where else is there public access TV in Chautauqua County today? There used to be more, but today.
Right. So we serve the municipalities of Ripley, Westfield, about half of Portland, Sherman, Chautauqua, North Harmony. That's it. The village of Mayville's within that, and the village of Westfield's within
Maple
that
Springs
as well.
picks us up, I believe. Did you see? I've had people say they watched it over that way.
They may have at one point. We go about as far as Thumb Road, is my understanding.
Okay.
The edge of the town of Chautauqua and the beginning of the town.
All right, so that's our jurisdiction at this point.
On the other side of Brockton, it picks up from the Fredonia station.
Okay, and are they active?
They are active. They're run specifically by the village of Fredonia.
All right.
Chip Rewald is the one over there running that station.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a bit more freedom than some of the other stations. The village of Fredonia, and then there's also a Dunkirk station.
There's two?
Yeah, Fredonia. I mean, it used to be a bunch of small cable systems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Mayville has a different lineup than Jamestown, which has a different lineup from Dunkirk.
Okay.
If you
We're
go,
independent stations.
right. So if you went from one, it may not be the same as, say, Nickelodeon might be 30-something here, and it might be 50-something somewhere
Gotcha,
else.
different numbers.
And
okay.
that just has to do with the different systems, and they were never really merged together.
Now, to my knowledge, we're the only regularly scheduled live TV show in Chautauqua County. Is that still true?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Fredonia, they do stuff. One of the requirements they have is they show all of their village meetings on their station. Dunkirk also does the similar thing where they show all of their city meetings on their station. We obviously have a lot more municipalities that would make that very difficult for us to do.
Okay. And what's going on in Jamestown? Are they...
Jamestown doesn't have a public, I mean, it does have a public access station. New York State requires there to be 2 stations everywhere dedicated to public and educational governmental access. That's a New York State law. So no matter where you are, there's 2 stations that are always being held no matter what.
Okay.
It's my understanding that when Spectrum took over from Time Warner, that they now operate that station. Before it was Time Warner operating it. And it's a bit more difficult to get programming to them. It used to be you could drop a DVD off at their office.
Right. And we used to be on their stations. Because people said to me, where are you now? And then they changed it.
And the biggest issue is that we go up to Buffalo. Our feed, once it comes out of here, it gets transmitted via fiber up to Buffalo. Jamestown's all comes out of Rochester. And it was at one point going up to Buffalo and all coming out of Buffalo.
Okay. Let's move away from the technology side of it for a bit, if we could. So it's pretty expensive for the studio, but this is public access, and it's public funds that support all this. And hopefully what we do is important enough for people to watch, and that the studio has meaning and purpose. So one of the things I want to talk about to some degree is, okay, so Doc Hamels has this show called Chautauqua Sunrise, and really it was the spin-off of Senior Report. I think that's a safe thing. Reed had his mission, he had his focus. I took it in a different direction, and here we are starting our 6th season with the mission of talking about what's really good about Chautauqua County, no politics, that sort of thing. So let's say somebody listening right now says, boy, you know, I would love to have my own TV show on public access. So you mentioned about there's parameters, but can you go a little bit more depth? What would somebody considering doing a TV show on a regular basis have to do and think about day one with our studio here? Who could use this?
Well, anybody can use it as long as you live in the viewing area.
All right. So
if you live outside the viewing area, then you have to find what's called a sponsor within the viewing area.
okay.
So
who's a sponsor? Who would be a sponsor?
You could sponsor somebody's show. I mean, it would just be someone within the viewing area who thinks that this show, I mean, usually that's for pre-produced shows. Mostly, if you're going to live in the viewing area, you can use the facilities to produce a show.
And it costs nothing.
No, there's no cost associated with it.
So, for instance, Gail Erb, she started a show a few years ago.
Exactly.
And that was, somebody had encouraged her to do something like that. So anybody else could do the same thing. And hers is pre-taped. Hers is not live, right?
Correct.
So she could come in and do a half hour, an hour, and it could be edited. Where with me, whatever happens, happens.
Right.
And all right, so somebody has an idea. So who do they contact? How do they get started?
The simplest way would be to either call our number 753-5225 that you see here. That's our main line here for the station. And if we're only here on Saturday morning, so if you call other than that, leave a message and we will contact you back.
Great.
the one thing to note is that, and I know you know this, it's a lot of work to put together a TV show, especially when you're doing something regularly.
Yeah.
You not only have to worry about scheduling guests every single week and making sure that you're working with them to get there. You have to have some sort of knowledge of what that guest is going to talk about.
You got to research it.
Exactly.
You don't want to get on this air cold and find like, oh my goodness, I didn't know we were going to talk about that.
Right. And a lot of what we do here, I mean, we're not ambush journalism like
Right.
what
No,
you see
not at all.
in
I always
the
tell
media.
people, I'm the good guy here. I'm not here to set you up.
So we want to make sure people feel comfortable when they come on the station as well. But the other thing you also have to think about is we obviously have volunteers here, and you need to have people who would be able to help you run camera, learn to run the video switcher, learn to do some of these things, because
There's only so many of you.
there's only so many of us,
Right.
and we're not always available to be able to do that.
Right.
So if you were interested in doing a show, the first thing would be to contact us either by calling us or you can email us. Our email is accesschautauqua@gmail.com. And we would be able to help start the whole process. But
Okay.
you're going to want to, I mean, from picking the name is important.
Background music,
Background
title,
music,
yeah, oh, yeah.
titles, however you want to do it. The simplest thing we usually start out with is giving you pick a picture and you pick a title and we put the title over there and we run a little music under it and that's your intro.
Right.
With you, we went a bit more difficult and we went to the next level. But so there's that to think about as well. So there's a lot of things to start to think about before you even get into the first step of coming in and doing the show.
So for those of you that are watching or listening right now, I'm going to put out an offer that if you are interested in producing your own show, I would be happy to assist you as a mentor or as an advisor, okay? And I'm sure you would as well, right? Okay. And so my title is host producer because this is my show, right? And John V comes in and does Chautauqua People. That's
Right.
his show. And then we've got Gail's Fresh Perspectives. That's her show. And you've got Destination Chautauqua, and that's your show.
Right. My father and I, based on different things, will do local things. He just recently filmed the Veterans Memorial groundbreaking that they did. And even when he's filming something, I'm editing it before it goes on to TV.
Okay. So when the credits come up for my show, it says, I think, director, right?
I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked
I
at
think,
them. I haven't looked at them in a
that's what I
while.
see. So in other words, when you're not sitting in this, no, don't run them. He was going to run the credits right now. When you're not here with me, you're busy in another room. So what are you doing for this show when I'm in here?
Well, obviously we're making sure that everything is working correctly, because just because when you start the program and it's working correctly doesn't always mean that it's going to stay that way. We're making sure that if you stumble on something that you get the answer as quick as possible.
Like when I have those blanks and I can't remember the name of someone or a website.
And we try to help you out with that.
Right.
We're making sure I'm assisting Jeff at certain points to make sure that because obviously it is a lot back there to run that. So we may need assistance at some point, especially when we're doing
video,
music.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring in Infinity
Yes,
and
I
stuff
do.
like that, and
we have some saxophone players coming up soon.
we'll be there. So he'll run the video, I'll run the audio, or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's essentially whatever needs to be done at the time.
Okay. But as a director, what's your job back there? Is there anything special that makes you different? I know you get all my news print.
Yeah,
all
we
done.
make sure to get that done before the show, so that's not obviously during the show. But essentially the director is making sure that the show is going smoothly.
Okay, so you're troubleshooting. I know a lot of times I'll see you run in here and maybe adjust a camera or suggest something. So you're sort of like the host of the whole studio.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that if there's a problem that no one knows about it, because then that's a great problem.
Now, okay, so Saturday mornings is when you produce shows. So if somebody says, "Oh no, I can only do it on Tuesday evenings at 9 o'clock," they've got to bring their own crew in.
Right.
Wow. So, Or if there was space and time on a Saturday morning, they could possibly pre-tape it and then show it later.
Right.
All right, so let's take anybody that was listening right now and they say, I want to do a 6-show series about the Civil War or something like this. So they could come in, they could produce 6 shows, and then how does that end up on TV?
Well, obviously, there's different things. You can do pre-tape shows, as you talk about, or you can do a live show. The live show requires a bit more work because when you're done, you're done. I mean, what goes out, there is no editing. If something goes wrong, everybody sees it.
I know.
The pre-tape shows are a little bit easier to do because if you need to change something or go back and start and stop. I mean, if the power went out right now, we would have probably more of an issue than a pre-tape show is because they could just start back up and it wouldn't be that big of an issue.
Right.
But so the first thing is to decide if you're doing something live or if you're doing something pre-taped.
Okay.
And we usually ask the question of if you're doing it live, what added value does that give? I mean, you have a call-in show. If Linda wants to call in or somebody else wants to call in and ask a question, so your show is live because it has that added value of being able to call in. Most people don't always do that, and a lot of people tend to be shy to do that, but there is that added value and it helps with your show. Gail doesn't have that, and she has a more sporadic schedule, so she chooses to pre-tape her show.
Okay.
And usually pre-taping is the best option.
Now you guys tell me after 5 years.
Because you have the chance to fix any mistakes that come up.
Right.
And make sure that everything works. If you have a false start on your show, you're
It's
just
there.
moving on.
We're move on.
If you have a false start on a pre-tape show, you could just start over.
Okay, so we have those 2 shows plus John V's during the summer. So how do they end up in the newspaper on a schedule? How do people know about it?
So obviously, the other thing is when your show is done, we go through and we do the scheduling for the week. So we schedule a whole week at a time, starting on a Saturday, and it runs till Friday.
Okay.
That's our scheduling week. It's obviously it's different than a regular week, but so we schedule everything after the show, whether it'll be your show, Gail's show, John's show, the parade, whatever.
Reruns from Chautauqua Institution.
So that's how it gets on air, is we do the scheduling after. We make sure we have all the files, we make sure we have everything's working correctly, we put it into our server, and we actually schedule it through the program.
So for those who are listening right now and watching, this is really complicated stuff. All right, so those that are listening right now, how are they hearing me? All right, obviously they're hearing me, 4 days later, so how are they hearing me right now?
So WRFA is actually kind enough that when we put it up on YouTube, your show, they'll just download the audio from
So they just pull off the audio and then they enhance it or whatever they do. They make me sound really good.
So they are able to do that because audio obviously isn't nearly as large of a file as video.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that, yeah.
Your 1 hour show in a standard video, and for standard definition, it's about 4 gigabytes. The same thing in audio may be 150 megabytes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
It's very different. So they just pull that audio off and then they put it through their system. And I'm sure they have a scheduling system very similar to ours.
Okay, so we're actually winding down on time, Chris. This seems hard to believe. So we have a little bit of time yet, about a minute and a half. But one more time. So if somebody is interested in doing their own show, they need to contact the studio here. And then we help them walk through the process. All right, and one of the things that I think people forget is that when you do a show, well, what's the next show about? And what's the next show about?
Exactly.
And
so, I mean, the question is, do you want to do one show or are you doing a series of shows? If you're doing a series of shows, you have to make sure that you have a cohesive idea to be able to move that show on.
Right.
If you're doing one show, that's different. So there's that to think about. There's a lot of things to think about if you're going to do a show. And
but it's fun.
Oh, it's very fun. But that's one of the off-putting ideas when people think, oh, I want to do a show. There's a lot that goes into a show, and a lot of that is you're making the decision now because it's going to stick with you as you go forward.
You know what? We've just run out of time. Well, folks, I want to thank Chris Burt for being my special guest today, and I hope you learned a lot more about what we do here every Saturday morning on Chautauqua Sunrise, and these guys do throughout the week as far as scheduling and the various shows that you see on Access Chautauqua. Well, that was really fun.
And if anyone ever wants to come up and watch one of your shows,
absolutely, we have room here for a small
space.
audience. Yeah, we can hold like 100 or 200. Okay, folks, have a great weekend. Enjoy the sun. And as I say every summer, don't forget the sunblock because it's really important. Lots going on in Chautauqua. We'll see you right here next Saturday at 9 a.m. on Access Chautauqua. Take care now. Bye-bye. Very good.